Title: From Blue to Beloved, the heartbreaking rescue of a forgotten dog. It started with a phone call. One quiet afternoon, I received a report from locals living near an abandoned industrial building on the outskirts of the city. They spoke of a strange dog that had been seen lingering near the ruins for several days. The way they described it made my heart sink. His fur, it used to be white, I think. But now it's this weird, patchy blue color. He looks sick. He's skinny. He's shaking. All the time. Please, can someone help him? That was enough. I gathered my rescue kit, packed a few protein-rich dog treats, a towel, a leash, and my first aid supplies. I also brought a bottle of warm water and a soft blanket, just in case. I had no idea what I'd find, but I knew I couldn't turn away. When I arrived, the area was desolate, overgrown with weeds, surrounded by chain-link fences half swallowed by vines. In the shadow of a crumbling wall, I spotted a small, trembling figure. He looked almost ghostly, a dog with a sunken body, brittle limbs, and a haunting blue hue coating his matted fur. He didn't run when I approached. He barely moved. But his eyes locked onto mine. And what I saw there will stay with me forever: desperation, fear, and the tiniest flicker of hope. I knelt down slowly, speaking in the gentlest voice I could manage. "Hey, buddy. It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you. I promise." He whimpered softly, his body curling tighter into the corner where two slabs of concrete met. I extended my hand, offering a bit of chicken jerky. He hesitated. Then, as if driven by survival alone, he slowly inched forward, nose twitching. He sniffed the food, then licked my fingers. That one lick changed everything. I gently wrapped the towel around him. I noticed the full extent of his condition. His fur was caked in grime, tangled, and sticky with some sort of chemical dye. Whoever had dyed his coat must have thought it was funny or artistic. But it wasn't. It was cruel. The blue dye had soaked into his skin in places, causing irritation. Underneath, his body was alarmingly thin. I could feel each rib, each bone. I named him Nimbus. At the vet clinic, Nimbus was surprisingly cooperative. The staff handled him with care, running blood work, checking for signs of trauma, and beginning the long process of cleaning him. It took hours just to get a layer of dirt and dye off. The blue was so stubborn, it left a stain on the table. Yet, through it all, Nimbus didn't growl. He didn't bark. He just lay there, eyes fluttering open and shut, as if surrendering to the process, unsure whether to believe this kindness was real. Over the next several days, I visited him every morning. I brought him warm blankets and sat beside his kennel. Just talking. No pressure. Just presence. And slowly, he changed. He began to eat with more appetite. He started wagging his tail when I came in. The fear in his eyes started fading, replaced by a cautious curiosity. Once the vet confirmed he had no internal injuries and was free of major illness, I brought him home. At first, Nimbus didn't know what to make of it. He tiptoed through each room like he was walking on ice. But after a warm bath, a good meal, and hours of gentle reassurance, he curled up on the blanket next to my bed and finally slept without trembling. Living with Nimbus taught me patience and trust in ways I never expected. He had quirks, like flinching at sudden movements or loud sounds. He was afraid of mirrors and didn't like going near the door. But he loved the sound of my voice. He learned his name within a week. He followed me room to room, his tail giving tentative wags whenever our eyes met. Every day, we built our rhythm. Morning walks turned from cautious sniffing missions to joyful sprints. He began carrying his favorite toy, a stuffed fox, everywhere he went. At night, he'd curl up next to me on the couch, resting his head on my lap, as if to say, "Thank you for not giving up on me." One morning, about 3 months after his rescue, we took a walk through a local park. Children were playing nearby. One of them ran up, asking if they could pet him. I froze, remembering the scared creature he once was. But to my surprise, Nimbus wagged his tail, sat down, and let the child stroke his head. It hit me then. This dog, once discarded like trash, had transformed into the gentlest companion. He had healed. And in doing so, he had healed something in me, too. They say animals remember pain. But they also remember kindness. Nimbus is proof that no matter how broken, no matter how lost, with love and patience, even the most fragile spirits can rise again. His coat is white now. Soft, shining, and free of any trace of blue, but sometimes, when I see him sleeping peacefully, paws twitching in dreams, I think of the day I found him, a little blue ghost, clinging to life on the side of the road, and now he's family. The boy carried the trembling bundle of fur, still partially tinted with that strange blue dye, into the animal hospital. The lobby lights glinted off the patches of color, still clinging stubbornly to the dog's fur, a haunting reminder of the cruelty it had endured. The receptionist gasped quietly when she saw it. Is that paint?" The boy nodded grimly. "I think someone dyed him. Probably with something industrial. And he's been on the streets a while." The vet, a middle-aged woman named Dr. Harris with kind eyes and practiced hands, gently lifted the dog onto the exam table. He flinched but didn't resist. Maybe he knew, finally, that someone was trying to help. After a thorough inspection, she spoke. "No broken bones. No visible wounds. But he's severely malnourished. He might have ingested toxins from that dye. We'll run blood tests and begin detoxification immediately." The boy waited in the lobby for hours. He didn't leave to eat or drink. His eyes never left the door that led to the exam rooms. And finally, Dr. Harris returned, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "He's going to be okay. It's going to be a long road, but he'll make it." That night, the boy took the dog, whom he now called Nimbus, home. He made a soft bed from old blankets and set it by his own, where Nimbus could feel the presence of someone nearby. The dog curled up, exhausted. As the boy watched him sleep, something stirred inside his chest, a promise he silently made to this quiet survivor. The next few weeks were a delicate dance of rebuilding what life had taken away from Nimbus. The blue dye faded gradually with daily baths, each one gentler than the last. The boy spoke to him in a soft, rhythmic voice, sometimes reading aloud from books or simply humming lullabies. Nimbus began to respond. His tail would twitch. His eyes would follow the boy around the room. He started to eat on his own, and even bark, tentatively. At first, when the doorbell rang. One day, Nimbus did something he had never done before. He placed his paw on the boy's lap. Just rested it there. It was as if he was saying, "I'm still here. I still believe in kindness." It took a full month before Nimbus was strong enough to go on his first real walk. The boy clipped on a soft new harness and opened the front door. Nimbus hesitated. The world outside still frightened him, but the boy crouched beside him. "Just one step. You're not alone." Nimbus looked up at him, then down the sidewalk. And slowly, he stepped out. Each movement was cautious, but steady. Birds chirped, wind rustled trees, and the scent of flowers drifted from a nearby garden. A month ago, Nimbus was a ghost. Now, he was starting to live again. The boy's friends began to visit, curious about the dog they'd seen in photos. They brought treats and toys. One girl brought a handmade tag that read, "Nimbus, little cloud of hope." Nimbus, though still wary, began to wag his tail around them. He learned to sit, then to stay. He slept soundly through the night. He barked when he was happy. The boys started sharing their story online. A video of Nimbus's transformation went viral, from the trembling, malnourished dog painted blue to a fluffy white pup with joy in his eyes. People across the country sent letters, food, and blankets. Someone even sent a painting of Nimbus, leaping through a field of wildflowers. Spring turned into summer. The boy built a small fenced garden in the backyard, where Nimbus could play safely. They would chase each other through sunbeams, tumble in the grass, rest under the shade of the oak tree. Nimbus had become more than just a pet, he was a symbol of hope. A living reminder that no matter how broken something seemed, it could be whole again with love. On the anniversary of the rescue, the boy hosted a small celebration. The neighbors came, bringing their own rescue pets. They hung a banner, "From Blue to Bloom," celebrating Nimbus. As the sun set, Nimbus sat beside the boy, leaning into his side. The boy put his arm around him and whispered, "You're not a ghost anymore, my friend. You're family." As the weeks passed, Nimbus transformed in ways none of us could have imagined. What began as a hopeless case, a dog discarded, colored like a forgotten toy, had now become the heart of our home that he learned to trust. He no longer flinched when I reached for his collar. He no longer shivered at the sound of a closing door. His tail wagged freely when I came home from work, his soft white fur glowing like a cotton cloud under the afternoon sun. He made friends at the local dog park. He even had a favorite toy, a stuffed lamb he carried around like a badge of courage. But beyond the cuddles and walks, Nimbus became something bigger. A symbol that he reminded everyone who met him that pain does not define us. That cruelty can be healed with patience. That even those who are discarded, broken, and painted over, can still find love, still offer love in return. I began receiving messages from strangers who had followed Nimbus' story. "He gave me hope," one said. "He reminded me to try again," wrote another. We had not just saved a life, we had sparked a quiet revolution of compassion. Epilogue. The boy with the green dog. One morning, I took Nimbus for a walk through the neighborhood. An old man across the street waved and shouted, "Hey! That's the green dog, right?" I smiled. "He used to be." Nimbus looked up at me, then trotted ahead, tail high. He was no longer broken. No longer green. He was free. He was loved. He was home.